All right. Good evening to you guys. I'd like to thank you guys all for coming out. My name is Galen Horton, the pre-apprenticeship coordinator. I'll be your guys' host for tonight on our Zoom meeting about why youth apprenticeship. Tonight will be sponsored by the Southeastern Workforce Development Board, Kenosha Unified School District, Gateway Tech, RAMAC, Racine, Area Manufacturers and Commerce, Department of Workforce Development Apprenticeship, and also WRTP Big Step. Before we get started, we just want to go over a few housekeeping rules. We ask that everyone keep their questions in the chat until the end, and then we'll all go over the questions with you guys. And then we also ask that you guys keep your mics muted throughout the presentation, just to give everyone a fair chance to listen and get a better understanding. Okay, so tonight for our panelists or presenters, myself, Galen Horton, we'll have Cheryl Covey, the coordinator of career and technical education, Katie Graff, director of high school partnerships, Gateway Tech, Jeff Bergman, workplace learning coordinator in Racine area, manufacturers and commerce, RAMAC. We'll have Richard Badger, apprenticeship training representative for Department of Workforce Development. Then we'll also have Maurice Horton with WRTP, Big Step Community and Outreach. So tonight, a few of the things that we'll be talking about, or a few of the things that we hope that you learn a little bit about tonight. What is an apprenticeship? We'll talk about the 5 advantages of apprenticeship training. We'll hear from our youth apprenticeship coordinators. We'll talk a little bit about registered apprenticeship, and then we'll finish off with a little bit of information about a career in construction with WRTP Big Step. Okay, what is an apprenticeship? So an apprenticeship, you'll basically earn while you learn. So you'll be trained on the job, but you also get a little bit of schooling, and it's all free, tuition free. So it's a little bit different than college per se. So yeah, you'll have a tuition free learning experience. You get pay raises as you grow, as you progress in training. So the better you do at the job place, there's a chance that you'll potentially get a raise at the job place that you're working at. Portable credentials, you'll receive a credential for completing, your course with us or your course as an apprentice. And it's nationwide. So it's not just here in Wisconsin. You can take that anywhere here in the nation once you complete the courses. So you'll learn in the classroom, you'll do on the job and get paid, which is great. Then you learn more and you earn more, one step at a time. Okay, the 5-star advantage. So career employment is built in. So with that, the career employment being built in, you'll learn on the job. So you learn on the job, and you can take that to a career pathway that you want to follow. As you go along, you'll learn. You'll be tutored. So that's something that you can also take along with your with the career pathway that you choose. Earn while you learn. Like I stated kind of before, you get to learn while you're on the job. You get to earn while you're on the job. No tuition. You don't have to worry about any type of fees or anything like that, which is a huge plus, especially for a young adult. Progressively increasing wages. The better you do at the job, you can actually get a pay increase. And I mean, who doesn't want a pay increase? So that's a great thing. National recognized credentials. You'll earn a credential that you can take anywhere here in the nation to pursue your career. So and that's great to have. Improved standard of living and security. I would explain that as if you're working and you're working hard and you're getting a little money and you have the credentials behind you, I feel like that's a good thing. That it increases the chance of having a better life or a better job security type of thing, a better home, or just a way of living for yourself and your family. Okay, and if you're curious about some of these things that we're talking about here, or your journey into an apprenticeship, we welcome you guys to check out our Facebook. We have our Facebook link here posted. So we definitely want you guys to check it out if you get a chance. Watch for a few of our posts, career pathways, the following industries. We have advanced manufacturing, healthcare, information technology, IT. And then each pathway contains valuable information on additional training resources, workforce partners with supportive services, registered apprenticeship that are available in that field. Okay, and now we've made it to youth apprenticeship. I have a few of my colleagues that are going to jump on and speak a little bit about that. So I'm going to pass the torch over to Katie Graff, Jeff Bergman, and also Cheryl Coley. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Galen. So hi, everyone. My name is Katie Graff, and I am one of the youth apprenticeship coordinators in the state of Wisconsin. Tonight, you're also going to hear from, yes, Cheryl Coley and Jeff Bergman, who are also youth apprenticeship coordinators or regional coordinators in the state. So we work very closely, the three of us, together in Southeastern Wisconsin, and we support many different high schools. So depending on which high school you are from, you probably will be working with one of the three of us under our youth apprenticeship program. But youth apprenticeship is a really awesome opportunity for our current juniors and seniors. So kind of your upperclassmen in high school, for high school students to really apply what they're learning in the classroom on the job. It's a great opportunity for students to really, find an employer and have an employer hire a youth student, a student that's in high school, and really kind of see if there's a good fit. It's a very low risk opportunity for you to quote unquote test drive, to see if you would be interested in pursuing that field in the future. So I'm just going to kind of go over some really basics about what the youth apprenticeship program is. And then Cheryl's going to go over some student benefits and what you need to know if you are a student interested in a youth apprenticeship. And Jeff's going to take us home and talk a little bit from an employer side. So I'll go to my next slide here. So I have to give a big shout out to the state of Wisconsin here for a quick second, because we are so lucky to be here in Wisconsin and under the Department of Workforce Development for putting together an awesome youth apprenticeship program. Our youth apprenticeship program is a statewide initiative. There are actually 38 different consortiums in the state. So people just like myself, Cheryl and Jeff, all around the state. And DWD has been really overseeing this program since 1991. So we have been around for quite some time, and I will say many other states in the country can't say that. So it's pretty cool to be here in Wisconsin with having that history here. But really, again, like I mentioned, it's really designed for high school students to really take hands-on learning, applying what they're learning in the classroom on a job site. Students are able to start a program as soon as they complete sophomore year of high school. So summer hours do count. You can start working right away in the summer, but students can either do it for 1 year or 2 years. Students have the opportunity, to apply, again, like what I said, apply what you're learning in the classroom on the job. And on that job, it's pretty cool because you are getting paired up with a mentor. So somebody who has a lot of experience, somebody who can really help show you around. Also, when you're being paired up at that employer, having that mentor, you are getting paid. So definitely not free work. You are getting paid, and you are getting paid at least minimum wage. I will tell you though, some of my youth apprentices that are in the Gateway Consortium are even making way over minimum wage. I think this year I have one student that's making $15 an hour as a current junior. So pretty cool. Next slide for me, Galen. So a couple of just key elements of the program, like I mentioned, open to juniors and seniors, and you can really start working as soon as you complete that sophomore year of your high school, so right away in that summer. In the program, you are actually working through kind of like a skills checklist, or now it's going to be called an on-the-job learning guide. It really helps your mentor and you kind of understand what your role and responsibilities are as a youth apprentice. In that guide, there are different skills checklists and skills standards that you will complete. So really, it's going to help guiding you and your employer towards the things you should be learning in that specific field. You get a lot of exposure to all different kinds of aspects of the industry. So if you're, for example, in manufacturing, you'll probably work on some machines, but you'll also learn safety. So it's pretty cool. You get a lot of different aspects to the industry that really was developed by our industry partners here in the state of Wisconsin. You also get, like I mentioned, have a skilled mentor that is working with you, alongside of you, making sure that you are achieving all of those standards. And like I said, you are getting paid for your time. Not free labor by any means. You will get paid. The other big key piece of the Youth Apprenticeship Program is that you are taking some sort of related classroom instruction. So that could be at the technical college, or it could be right in your high school. So it's pretty cool. Again, like I said, really applying what you're learning in the classroom on the job. So I'm going to turn it over, though, to Cheryl Cothy from the Kenosha Unified Youth Apprenticeship Consortium, who's going to talk a little bit more specifically about student benefits and what you need to know as a student.
Thanks, Katie. I get the good part. I get to tell what all the wonderful things the students get to have. So when we talk to our students, we came up with this list of all the different great things that can happen while you're doing this. And I've been doing this for a long time. And one of the things that we always tell students is this is a time in your life to somewhat figure out, is this for me as a career or not? This is one of the easiest times in your life to do it. It isn't costing you any money. You're not paying for any type of credits. This is free during your high school years to take advantage of this. So you can get that real world experience in that career path that you think you want. And we've had some students, after they've worked in it for a year, say to us, you know what, this isn't what I thought it was. And I'm always like, yay, you know what, you figured it out. And they're like, I'm not disappointing you. I'm like, no, because you have not wasted any of your money and not any of your parents' money in going down a path that you truly do not want. These are what these experiences are for, is to try to figure out if it's something you'd like to pursue beyond high school. So Katie talked, of course, about the paycheck, but I also want to talk about the credit. You also receive high school credit for participating in the Youth Apprenticeship Program. Every school runs it a little bit different, so you'll have to check with your guidance counselor on how many credits there are, but it is advantageous to you because you are not, you get released from school and you get to go to work. Some of our students do stay in school all day, and then they just receive additional credits beyond that day. So when you are working on your youth apprenticeship, there is an opportunity, and you're going to hear about it a little bit later, is if you'd like to bridge into the adult registered apprenticeship program. So that means, do you want to extend this beyond high school and get involved? And there are some apprenticeship programs that you can start that registered adult apprenticeship while you're even in high school. So you'll be hearing a little bit more about that later on, but it's a great opportunity for you to figure that out if this is something you'd like to do. The mentorship is actually something Katie mentioned before. I know we just did mentor training this week with our mentors for Kenosha Unified School District, and they're eager. They want to help our students understand about the career paths within their industry. And it's so refreshing to see that combination of a school district and a business partnership happen, because the students will benefit from it. And I always say, you know what, to the businesses, you can go drive by an industry park. You do not know what those big boxes are there for. You might get a chance to work in there. Once you get in, find out what all of those opportunities are. It's so very important for that. One other thing through the program is you may get some state certification. So number one, you will be getting your youth apprenticeship certificate by completing the program, but you may also get some other certifications along the way because you're in some coursework that requires that industry related cert. So please know this is something great that you're gonna be able to put on college applications and on your resume that you have completed this while you're in high school. And that one last bullet on there is follow a career pathway from high school to college or the workforce. And I think this is one of the benefits that many people don't think about is you're getting that start now. You can find out if this is what you want to go into. You're going to find out Do you need to go to college? Will you be able to work and maybe do school part-time while you're participating in this? And maybe you're lucky your employer will pay for that extra schooling after you're done. Next slide, please. So here, what are your student responsibilities? So you have to contact your school rep to work on your placement. So sometimes we have students that already have a job and some that need to find one. So right now is a perfect timing. I know many of the high school students are thinking about what courses they want to take next year. I know our students are going to be registering this month, and it's important for you to make those contacts. Find out who that person is in your building. Start with your counselor usually if you don't know who it is. In the Kenosha schools, we have a person who's called a Youth Apprenticeship Specialist at every one of our schools that help those students do that. So please find that out and start making those connections. Then what you can do is when you're meeting with them, talk to them about the program you're interested in. And you could say, you know, I'm really thinking about, I want to do X, Y, or Z. That person is going to be able to help you make that connection to one of the 11 programs that we have. They'll be able to tell you, is it going to be realistic? Do we have those types of employers that are in our community that are willing to hire students? So start doing that now. There is some required paperwork that needs to be done. So once that youth apprenticeship position starts, you have to fill that paperwork out. You will be signing it. Your employer will be signing it. Your parent will be signing it, your principal will be signing it, and the youth apprenticeship person in your building will be signing it. And that has to be completed and turned into the Department of Workforce Development. We ask that students become prepared. So if you're thinking about this, here's the best thing to start working on now. Get your resume together. Take a look at where that employer is and fill out an application. Go through it with someone at school that will help you. All right. They want to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward before it's turned into that employer. Even do some practice interviews. I know in our school district, all of our youth apprenticeship specialists work with the students. There are people in the building that are there to help you to get you prepared for that actual interview. And I know I've had some students in the past tell me, well, you know what? I pretty much walked in, filled out the app, and I had the job. It's not always like that. We want you to become prepared. So make sure you meet with someone and get the training that's needed. Katie had talked about having the paperwork that you have to fill out. There's checklists that have to be completed. Those you will be working on with your employer to make sure you get all of those skills that are necessary by the time you are completed with your youth apprenticeship, because that's a document that we're going to send to the state so that you're going to be able to get your certification. We have to make sure you take the related classroom. So if you're going to be in a pathway, and let's say it is going to be in manufacturing, you have to take related coursework along the way while you are in that youth apprenticeship. So as you're working with your school counselor and you know you're going to be taking youth apprenticeship, make sure you are signing up for that coursework. And then you have to work a minimum of 450 hours. And it might seem like a lot, but many of our students that we're turning in their certifications for are at over 900. So they're really enjoying the work. Summertime, if you bookend it on each end, to have a lot of hours each summer, it's not that bad than what you need to accomplish during the school year. Next slide, please. All right, so we have different career programs that we mentioned. They are in ag, food, and natural resources, STEM, transportation, distribution, and logistics. So think even like working in an automotive shop, something like that. Could be working in a warehouse. Architecture and construction, art, AV, technology and communications, finance, health science, hospitality, lodging, and tourism, information technology or IT, manufacturing and marketing. And what I want to mention is we have been doing some upgrades across the state. They've been running this and making sure that we have the most updated curriculum and checklists for our employers. So what's called a modernization project, and they are going to be touching on all of these areas. So we are just going to be implementing some new curriculum this next year, and this will be the first year we're doing it, but it's going to come in phases. So that will be happening while you're in it the next couple of years. Next slide, please. All right, here's the program timeframe. So you can start a level 1 your junior, senior year, and this can actually start at the end of the sophomore year. So if you are a sophomore or even a junior right now, start thinking about it and start making those connections. The earlier you do this, the better off it is. And I know we've been meeting with employers and they've been saying, you know, okay, we're ready to hire. They want to start getting the process going. So please consider doing this as fast as you can. You will be working the 450 hours, and you have to make sure you have that 2 semesters of related classroom instruction. And Katie mentioned it doesn't have to be at your high school. Excuse me. It can also be at Gateway Technical College. So that's an opportunity for you. A level 2 can be junior and senior year of high school. You just have to accomplish 2 different areas within the pathway, 900 hours of work-based learning, and then 4 semesters of related instruction. And what I'll be doing now is turning it over to Jeff from RAMAC, who works with the Racine Unified School District.
Okay, thank you, Cheryl. Hello, everybody. What I'm here to talk to you about is the employer's responsibilities. And one of the things that's important that as a student or a parent that you should realize is that there are a lot of stakeholders within this program. The student, you as parents, the school itself, and the employer, and the youth apprenticeship coordinator, and as well as other outside groups that may work with your with the students through this program. One of the big things with your employer responsibilities is that, and we all push this, so the employers know this, that what we're looking for when we talk to employers is not just looking for a job for a student. We're looking for an opportunity for them to take what they've learned and apply it in that career, to see if that career is right for them. Like was mentioned earlier before, that maybe that after you complete this, that this is not what you thought it was going to be, but it opens you up to different areas. So one of the first things that the employers need to do is that it's basically determine if they have an opportunity for a student to enter a youth apprenticeship in. And that process then would be to post that position through the schools, through the youth apprenticeship coordinators, youth apprenticeship specialists. In Racine, we have people at each one of the buildings too that their sole job is to work with workplace learning and youth apprenticeship with the students. So it's finding those job postings and finding the students that's right for them. The other thing is that they need to participate in a mentor training program. And this is just a program that it offers the employer an opportunity to find out totally about the program, what it's like working with students, what can be expected working with students, what kind of regulations they are with dealing with students, such as child labor laws. And one of the interesting things about what child labor laws is that when a student is enrolled in the youth apprenticeship program, the child labor laws have some flexibility for what the students can do as far as what type of tools and equipment that they can use in the jobs that they can perform, as opposed to a student just walking off the street and wanting to get a job. So all of our students are interviewed. So the students are ready to do that. We very rarely will have somebody that just comes in and says, hey, I got a job. We try to work with the employers. So this is a real life experience for the students, that they have to develop a resume. Resumes are reviewed. Students are interviewed, and then they go through the regular hiring process like any of their other employees. And one of the things that we all stress is that these students, when they're working, they should be treated just like another employee, that they are getting paid, they're there to learn, they're there to perform the duties that are aligned with their job. And so it's just one of the big things is, what do we do? It's just like you treat them like anybody else. One of the biggest things is that the employer's responsibility is to provide that on-the-job training to the YA students. And that is done through a mentor or mentors. The employer needs to assign a mentor to the student, and that's usually who that person will work with, not necessarily side by side, but they are there to show them different operations, get used to the climate and the culture of the workplace. And it's also that mentor is that person that the student has the ability to talk to. So if something isn't going the way they expected, they have that person that they can talk to and really try to work on any issues that they may have. In some cases, we have students that have multiple mentors on the job. So depending on the situation, you may have one or multiple mentors. The other thing is that students need to be paid, and that all the students are paid through the employer. There is no other outside funding that takes place with this, but all the employers pay the students. And again, as Katie mentioned, it's minimum wage. We have very few students that are making minimum wage. So our employers see the value of the students and what they can do with the students, and they pay them accordingly. So the other part is participate in regular progress reviews, and that is going through the new on-the-job learning performance guidelines, making sure that they work with the coordinators, work with the students to make sure that they are on track to get all of their competencies checked off by the end of their time at those positions. The other thing is that you have to make sure that you get those 450 hours a year on the work site. And like that's been talked about a lot, and finding 450 hours is not very difficult at all. So it's, and the employers know that ahead of time, and there's never really many issues except in this past year. We did have issues, but we were lucky that the state was able to make accommodations for our students because there was some disruption because of COVID. But we've had very good luck with the DWD and them making some modifications so our students could be successful with their placements. And one of the big things too is to need to make sure that they comply with all labor laws, child labor laws, regular labor laws, that that they're offering a safe workplace for our students to work. Next slide. One of the big things is with the program outcomes, 75% of all the youth apprenticeship graduates enroll in technical college or university after high school. We do also have students that enter the workforce or enter the military. So there are, it really does show a lot that the training they're getting really is helping them set up for future success by that large percentage. And out of that, over 60% of those students that are enrolled complete their degrees, and the national average is 25. So again, it's really, the youth apprenticeship program is preparing for the future. And it really does give the students a leg up on a lot of other people, because they're coming into classrooms in post-secondary programs where they have that work experience that they can take into that coursework with them. And then finally, 85% of the apprenticeship graduates are employed after leaving high school. That can be full-time, part-time, but there is a very high number of students that stay on because of the job that they did and the performance that they had while they were on the job. We have many students that do continue on to a 2-year, 4-year program, but the employers ask them to come back and do internships in the summer. So it really is making those bonds with those employers that they can take forward for future success.
Pass this over to Richard Badger from the state of Wisconsin to talk about a little bit about registered apprenticeship.
Thank you, and thank you everybody for participating this evening. I know after work, this is dinner time for everybody, so I definitely want to thank you for taking the time out to learn this information. Again, my name is Richard Badger. I'm an apprenticeship training representative with the Bureau of Apprenticeship Standards. We have been renamed to Wisconsin Apprenticeship. So this evening, I'm going to talk to you specifically about registered apprenticeship and what that entails. You've heard about youth apprenticeship. And so while your students are still in school, the junior year, senior year, the youth apprenticeship is the information that you'll want to learn. But at some point, your student will graduate. And at that point, that's where the registered apprenticeship becomes vitally important. And this information, as it pertains to registered apprenticeship, may actually pertain to you yourself as a parent if you're looking at changing a career path. So If you have questions, definitely feel free to ask those questions as I go along. Definitely like to have the participation from those who are listening to this presentation. So essentially, the difference between youth apprenticeship and regular registered apprenticeship is you're no longer in school. In order to be a registered apprenticeship, you must have a high school diploma or GED, at least a GED or high school equivalent certificate. So that is going to be the biggest difference. With registered apprenticeship, the first thing is registered apprenticeship is employer sponsored. So you have to have a job first. It's job first, apprenticeship second. I would talk more into that as we go along. And then the third bullet point, how do I find a list of approved registered apprenticeships? We are currently re-updating our website. So if you go to wisconsinapprenticeship.org, you will find some information there. A couple years back, we had more sponsors identified on our website, but then our department decided to kind of create some symmetry between the websites. So they changed the website. So now we've gotten permission to go back to what we had previously. So if you check our website periodically, it's not where it needs to be as of yet, but you will find some sponsors on our website. So if you go to wisconsinapprenticeship.org, you will be able to find some sponsors that are posted on that website. But so registered apprenticeship, the fun part about registered apprenticeship, and there is a couple of things that I do want to definitely spell out to you all, and then also provide some clarity. I know it was mentioned earlier in the presentation that with registered apprenticeship, there is no college, there's no tuition. For clarification, there is tuition, but there's no debt. Once they complete their apprenticeship, there's no overhanging debt. So if you go to what we have traditionally been taught, the traditional route of schooling where you go to college afterwards, oftentimes people are graduating from the traditional college setting with, $40,000 to $100,000 worth of debt hanging over their head. Well, with apprenticeship, that's not the case. Part of the requirement of apprenticeship is that they are going to school. And for the most part, we are utilizing the Wisconsin Technical College system for that schooling. But the apprentice is responsible for making sure that they remain current on covering that tuition. Many of our sponsors, though, many of the apprenticeship sponsors cover the books and tuition costs. So to the point of saying that there's no tuition, that's what the intent behind that statement is, that over 80% of our Wisconsin apprenticeship sponsors do cover the books and tuition costs for the apprentices that they sponsor. But technically, just for sake of having that knowledge, technically the apprentice is responsible for covering the books and tuition expense that goes along with it. The fortunate thing is the Wisconsin Technical College system is not a very expensive system. And so how registered apprenticeship works, the related instruction classes that are scheduled, those related instruction classes are scheduled specific to the occupation that the apprentice is taking. So there are no general education courses that go along with the schooling, with the related instruction that goes on. So such would be the case if the apprentice is a machinist apprentice, they're going to be going to classes 1 day a week, and they're in class literally that entire day. So 8 hours they're in school that entire day. They'll be learning about the occupation of being a machinist. They're not going to be coming home writing papers on how was the kite invented. Nothing of that nature. Is specific to the job at hand. The reason why that is so important is because they're paid their regular wages that day that they're in that classroom. So they're in class 8 hours a day, they're paid their regular wages for that 8 hour day. So they will receive a full paycheck at the end of the week. And in my opinion, that's what sets the registered apprenticeship apart from other training mechanisms that companies have, is that as an apprentice, you're not losing any money on your paycheck, which is a great thing. And it's a whole different motivation. Can you imagine if you were sitting in somebody's college and you were getting paid $18, $24, $25 an hour sitting in that classroom? That's a whole different motivation to learn. And there are requirements. They have to maintain, at the state requirements, that they have to maintain at least a C average a C grade in order to be in compliance with the state registered apprenticeship program. If they fall below that, then they are threatening their apprenticeship. They can be canceled for not being in compliance with that. So I did want to clear that up. To that end, when we talk about the expenses of apprenticeship as it pertains to the apprentice, anytime they're going into the apprenticeship world, they may be required to purchase specific gear or equipment for that particular occupation. So if they're going into the construction field or the industrial field, they may need to purchase steel-toe boots and safety glasses and things of that nature. Well, fortunately, our department, we just recently received a grant. It's a supportive service grant that's up to $600. And so this is really a great time for apprentices to be apprentices or to become an apprentice, because they can actually receive up to $600 to reimburse for many of the expenses that may go into starting a new position as an apprentice. Again, it could be pretty much on anything that they spend money on, with the exception of tuition. So if they buy books, they can ask for reimbursement for the books, steel-toe boots, safety glasses. If they are catching an Uber to work, they can ask for reimbursement for the transportation costs. So it's pretty wide open. So it really is a great time to be an apprentice in regards to that opportunity. But it's also a great time to be an apprentice simply because I know you guys are hearing in the news that there's a workforce shortage. And what they mean by there's a workforce shortage is that there's a skilled workforce shortage. And so when we talk about tool and die makers and machinists and maintenance technicians and all these different occupations, and then also going into the construction field, the construction world, many of those individuals are going to be retiring within the next 5 to 7 years. And so your students that you have are in a prime position to be able to walk into these career opportunities and get trained by these extremely seasoned vets that are actually already on the job. So they're going to be learning from the best of the best that have done the job and be able to get that credential. As a youth apprentice, they're coming in with 900 hours already. So if they bridge from a youth apprentice to a registered apprentice, they're already coming in with substantial hours. And I'll explain the beauty of that shortly. But they'll be able to come in, transition in, and be trained by the best of the best, and ultimately get that credential at the end of their apprenticeship, which is something that they can take, that they'll have forever. And Wisconsin is the gold standard when it comes to apprenticeship. So they get their credential from the state of Wisconsin. If they decided to move anywhere else in the world, that credential is like their master's degree. So that in my mind is vitally critical. So I just mentioned that the 900 hours that the youth apprentice can bridge over to the registered apprenticeship, the value that those 900 hours brings is that early in the presentation, Galen talked about the progression, the wage progression. The wage progression is set up by the sponsors. And so hypothetically, let's say the sponsor is a machinist program. The machinist program is set up for 4 years. We go by hours. So it's set up for 8,320 hours. Many sponsors will set their wage progressive scale at 6 months or 1,040 hours, because we operate off a 2,080 hour calendar. So, which means that every 1,040 hours, they would get a pay increase. They'll be eligible for a pay increase. Well, with the youth apprentice that bridge over, they're 18 years old. Most of them are going to be 18 years old. Some may be 17 years old. But so if they're coming into this registered apprenticeship, they're already going to get a pay increase, because the youth apprenticeship wage scale is going to be different than the registered apprenticeship pay scale. So 18 years old, they're now making $18. Let's say they're making $18 an hour for sake of conversation. When they hit that 1,040 hour mark, now they're going to be eligible for a pay increase. So they may go from $18 to $20 an hour, but because they're coming in with 900 hours already, they only have to now get 140 additional hours before they're eligible for that next pay increase. And that's substantial, because that next pay increase may take them from $18 an hour to $20 an hour, $21 an hour. And then when they complete that apprenticeship, they'll be at, 28, 30, whatever the skilled wage rate is. On average, our completed apprentices earn anywhere between $65,000 and $75,000 a year. And that's with no educational debt hanging over their head. So imagine at 23, 24 years old, making, if we centered it off $70,000 a year, and you don't have that educational debt hanging over your head, life is not going to be too bad. And so that's why we don't call these jobs. These are career positions that that the apprenticeships are setting the individuals up in. So, I know oftentimes parents look at college as being the route to take, and that is the route to take if that's the route that you feel your student is going to excel in. But let's not look down on the skilled workforce, because the skilled workforce is a much needed space, and unfortunately it's a dying space, which is why we need your students to really take that into consideration. And again, I'll speak directly to the parents. We may need you as well to consider looking at a registered apprenticeship for yourself. I know we have the Racine Manufacturers on the line, and so I know WRTP is going to talk about construction. And the construction occupations are great, but I don't want to leave out the manufacturing and the industrial occupations that are available out there as well. Apprenticeship has evolved into a much grander space than what traditionally I think most people are familiar with, which is construction. Construction is definitely our largest and oldest apprenticeship model, but we have definitely evolved. And so construction is still very much vibrant in this space. Matter of fact, I just have one of the construction occupations just send in 20 contracts, 20 applications to be made into apprenticeship contracts just today. So the construction field is definitely still booming. It's never going to go anywhere. Technology will never take it over. And the same is to be said about industrial, the manufacturing jobs. The manufacturing jobs there's a high demand for people who are interested in working in the manufacturing space. There's good money to be made in the manufacturing space. And the manufacturing industrial world does not look like it did back in the 60s and 50s. You don't necessarily come home all dirty from the industrial plants anymore. Some of these places are food grade clean. They're temperature controlled year round. And they have outstanding benefits and outstanding wages. So definitely want people to take those things into consideration. And also with industrial, there's a lot of technology that's being added to the industrial space. So we have maintenance technician, we have industrial electrician, we have mechatronics. Mechatronics is where you're working with the automated systems, so robots and things of that nature that are on the industrial line. And all these things are available to young people or to individuals who have an interest in that space, or just may have a curiosity, not even necessarily an interest, because some of these things people don't even know exist. So I would definitely encourage you all, definitely go to our website, see what's available out there, look at the different descriptions that are out there. If you ever have questions, you can definitely reach me directly. I know our contact information will be put out there towards the end or at the end of the presentation. But yeah, I mean, apprenticeship is, in my mind, the best thing since sliced bread. I wish I would have known about it when I was coming through school. I definitely would have considered it. I know one of the things I really expound upon when I talk to students after school is that the guy that's walking around the school in the green jumpsuit with all the keys makes the most money in the building. And people don't even think about that. He doesn't have to even deal with the kids. He's making sure the lights are on, the doors are open, the snow is plowed, make sure that the building is functioning. But he or she typically makes the most money in that building, more than the principal, more than all the teachers, more than the counselors, all of that. So unfortunately, historically, we really never talked about skilled labor in the school system. I think schools are doing a phenomenal job at doing it now. So bravo to the schools, but parents, we need you guys to understand the value of the industrial construction and the skilled workforce. So before I stop, I want to introduce one of my colleagues that's on the line. Her name is Dawn Pratt. Dawn is an apprenticeship navigator. I want her to say a couple words about what the navigator role is. And Racine Kenosha area will soon have your own navigator. And so the navigator role is something that's new to us, as well, relatively new to our department, but it only goes to speak about the evolution of apprenticeship and why we're creating new positions to add value to our sponsors and to our partners in apprenticeship. So Dawn, if you want to say a few words.
Yes, thank you, Richard. I just wanted to mention that the navigator role would be for the public. It would be for people that are graduating out of school and want more information about apprenticeship. The navigator works with the public, helping them navigate through the process, letting them know what field there is, what occupations are available. Katie was nice enough, she put the whole list on the in the chat, and very quickly, by the way. And I want you to understand that for many years, it was just manufacturing and construction, but we're getting our toes wet in healthcare, IT, finance. We're starting to branch out because there's such a demand for this, that if you have any questions, and I hope you noticed earlier, I accidentally sent out just my name. But what I did just now is there is my email address and my title and my name. And if anybody is interested in learning more about registered apprenticeship, please send me an email and we'll spend some time discussing it, what opportunities there are and how you can go through our website. I wish we had our new one, it would be so much easier, but I'm there to help you, parents, youth that are graduating, anybody that is looking for a new career. I always welcome questions and people interested in apprenticeship. So thank you, Richard, for giving me a little bit of your time.
Definitely, the navigator role is definitely significant. And like I said, it's a newer position in our department, but it's something that I think has tremendous value. So the fact that you guys are being introduced to it, now that you know about it, hopefully you'll take advantage in a good way of Dawn, so that way you can fill in some of the blanks that you may have. So last thing I would say is, again, I just want to really impress upon the parents that your children deciding to go an apprenticeship route is not a negative thing. I look at registered apprenticeship opportunities as being on an even tier with going what has been perceived as the traditional route post high school. The traditional route, unfortunately, hasn't worked for everybody. And so the apprenticeship route is definitely a great way for your young people to be able to find themselves, earn money at the same time, get out of your house. You know, you'll be able to empty the nest and know that they'll be okay. So, you know, registered apprenticeship is not an alternative. It's not a plan B. It should be looked at as a plan A. And that's all I would say.
All right, thank you so much, Richard. Also, thank you, Dawn, for jumping on and giving us a few words. Next, we'll be moving on to Mr. Maurice Horton with WRTP Big Step. And I'll let him take the way.
All right, thank you, Galen. And yes, for everybody on the call, Galen is my youngest son. I think he did a great job so far. And it's a pleasure to be here tonight with you guys. I'm smelling some good food coming out the kitchen, so I'm not gonna be long myself. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen here. Let me go here. Let me take this down real quick. Can you guys see it? It's coming up now. All right, can you guys see the screen there?
Yes.
Okay, so WRTP Big Step is just a Wisconsin Regional Training Partnership and Building Industry Group. We're located at 101 down in Main Street, down at Gateway Technical College. We have just been moved to the Racine building, and we are in R119, which is where the conference center is now. So that's our new location. A little bit about, and I'm going to move this around so I can see my screen here. Okay, a little bit about Big Step. Coming into the program, the first thing we do is we have a orientation. Everybody that I recruit have a orientation. So my job is to go out and find individuals wherever they may be, whether it's church, grocery store. My title is Southeastern, so that's Racine, Kenosha, and Walworth County. Our mission is to enhance the ability of public and private sector organizations to recruit and develop and retain a more diverse, qualified workforce in construction. So we too are looking for those people in the field. But it's really good to hear Richard talk about, the youth programs and Galen and all the other co-workers together, that we are not leaving our youth out, and that is really, really important. I work with youth here for the last 20 years in Racine in at-risk programs, and this really does my heart good to know that there's something out there for them that's very, very positive and can take them in another direction. We're who we are, 501c3, nationally recognized industry intermediary, aligning with the needs of the industry, workers, and community. So what we do is we work closely with the trades. We get people into our pretty much we get everybody together to say, listen, we are going to have a pool of people that you guys can pull from. So our job is to get the people, get them trained, so that the trades and other groups of construction workers can pull from our pool of people. This is John Anderson. John Anderson is our site director here in Racine. We also have here, we have Amber Walzak. Amber is our program coordinator. So when you come into the program, Amber handles all of our contractors. She handles all of our unions. She put everything together. She collects all our data for our program so that we have everything in line and in order. And of course, I'm the outreach person. I do all the outreach here in Racine for WRTP Big Step. And so you probably see me at a lot of job fairs. You'll see me at a lot of events around town. Construction trades. So we always tell people when they come to Big Step that you don't have to come here just looking to get into one trade. So we kind of leave the door open a little bit. Once you get in, people come in and say they want to be an electrician, they want to be a plumber. And as we go through the 7-week program, we find out at the last week, everything that they came in to be has changed. So we let them, we kind of leave the door open for them to kind of like customize what they want to do and what they think is best for them. We always talk to them a little bit. We have our social skills time where we talk about, you got to come in with a good attitude. You have to be dependable. You have to be drug-free. We also talk in the high schools. I'm already talking to people at the academies, telling them, they say, hey, what is the 2 things I need to stress to my students from 9th grade on up? I always say math is going to be very important, and make sure you keep those driver's license clear, because you're going to need those, because people in construction, they travel. You might be in Racine today and then Waukesha tomorrow. So you need to have your license, your driver's license in good standards. And also safety is always our priority. So when we talk to our students, we talk about the 17 different trades, and this always get them. We always show them this wage and benefits card. When they start seeing the dollars and cents there, this is where they get really interested to know that as a Boilermaker, I can make $37 an hour, drywall finisher, electrician, $41 an hour. So we also tell them that, listen, this is hard work. This is, this won't be just coming in and not being able to, to sit around and do everything. In order to do this, you're gonna have to come in, work hard, allow the people to know that, this job is for you, and that you are worth the benefits that they're gonna be paying you. So when you start, how do I begin my apprenticeship? You apply to a trade, you come in with us, you apply to a trade, you pass the aptitude test, you interview with the union representatives, receive a letter of introduction or rank list letter, and you begin your apprentice. So when you come into Big Step, what we always do in our 7-week class, we bring all the business reps from all the different trades. So we have every business rep from heavy equipment, from the laborers, we put them in front of every student or every participant to have a one-on-one. Right now we're doing it virtually because of COVID, but we put them in front of them so if they have any questions for the union reps, they talk a little bit about carpentry. They tell them like, hey, if you want to be a carpenter, you can come up to Pewaukee, get on our union list. And so what we do is we walk them through this, because without us being there, a lot of times they won't get a chance to find out where they should go, who they should talk to. And then the other thing is how we can help. So we have our flyers here. This is our Big Step Apprenticeship Readiness orientation. We tell you, 18 years or older, you have a high school diploma or a GED, just come down to Gateway. If you see me out in the community, you only need 2 forms of ID, come with a driver's license or either a state ID card and like Social Security or birth certificate. This is one of our other road building flyers that we're doing. So we have a road building class that we do. And once the road building is over, it's still a 7-week class. It's Monday through Friday from 8 o'clock to noon, 120 hours. And so we also have Gateway facilitators. Steve Whitmore is our facilitator at Gateway out at the IMED Center. So every Tuesday and Thursday, Steve is doing hands-on with our students, whether it's pouring cement, whether it's doing measurements, and kind of give them a hands-on experience of how to use tools and what would be expected out on the workforce. Here's our new program. For those that are on the call that know me and those that don't, I currently serve as an alderman for the 7th District for the city of Racine. We started a new program called RWP, which is the Racing Works program. So WRTP Big Step is the certifier for the Racing Works. So if you're unemployed, have not worked in the last 15 consecutive days, minority or women, what the cities say that any contractor that bids over $1 million in public or private money, and they get the bid, that they have to have a 20% goal on every project. So this gives our people from Racine an opportunity to work. And so since we started this program, we can't keep people in the pool. Everybody is calling for these RWP people. So we'll have a graduation in a couple of weeks. And then I'm quite sure those guys will be out of the pool also. So this is something unique because the city is going in the direction of equality and inclusion and equity. And so this is the direction that the council is going in. So we really want to see this program move forward and be successful for those that live in the city of Racine. The next steps, we always tell them, hey, schedule your acupuncture test by calling Gateway Student Services. Complete your acupuncture test, get your test scores, bring them back to us. Call us at the office and let us know what your scores are, bring them in. And then from there, Amber will sit down with them, tell them what they scored, and tell them, you know, with the score that they obtained, what trades that they qualify for. These are some of our partners, which is ResCare and the Workforce Development Center Board. So we do work with WIOA pretty much, and ResCare in everything that we do. And for those, and I don't know if Michelle is on there, Michelle used to be my manager. And so she was my manager before she went over there. And it was nice to have her with us at Big Step. But that's all I have for you all tonight. And I really appreciate coming, you know, on tonight and having an opportunity to be with everybody here tonight and talking about the great youth apprenticeship programs, what they're doing in the schools, and how students can get involved. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Maurice. All right. So I did see that we had a few questions in the chat, but I did notice that we had a lot of responses also. So I didn't know if anyone else had any other questions for any of us. If so, please, you know, feel free to throw them in the chat at this time, and we'll try to get to them. Okay, we got a few questions coming on. So any of the panelists, you guys feel free to jump on if you feel like you
Why
can
don't
answer
you
these.
why don't you read them off, Galen?
Okay, so one of the questions we have from they're popping up so fast.
Yeah, let's just start at the beginning.
Some
So
questions, Galen, about the high school students. I can take first too. So we
Okay.
talked to our schools to join the YA program, and if there's student is in like a academy at your high school, can they still participate in the apprenticeship program? So I would definitely say if you are a high school student, definitely talk to your high school. That you would be kind of looking at that youth apprenticeship program while you're in high school. Richard said it really well, like the registered apprenticeship is once you are like out of high school, you've graduated, you have a high school diploma or a high school equivalency to a high school diploma. So if you're still in high school, we would start you off with that youth apprenticeship program. And I would definitely encourage you to talk to your school counselor. They could get you in contact with the appropriate person at your high school. But I would say, yeah, your son or daughter can still participate even if they're in a sport or if they're in a defined academy at the high school. You know, as long as they're able to, you know, find an employer that's willing to hire them, work those 450 hours, meet all the competencies. You know, they can work during the school day or after school, before school, during the summer, lots of opportunities. So I would definitely encourage you to have those conversations with your high school. Start with your school counselor. They can get you connected to the right person.
So I'm going to answer for Jeanette. Asked a question about her son's at Indian Trail at the academy. Yes, have your son talk to Mrs. Lehman. Her office is in the Commons. So definitely we work with all of our students that are in all the academies and in the comprehensive high school.
I'll respond to Rachel's question, at least as it pertains to the adults in Walworth County. So how the regions are broken up, Racine, Kenosha, and Walworth County makes up one region. So yes, there are apprenticeship opportunities, registered apprenticeship opportunities, as well as youth apprenticeship opportunities. You know, oftentimes it's just about asking, you know, with the businesses in Walworth County, what I really tell people now is apprenticeship used to be almost this secret society. A lot of sponsors didn't want to reveal that they were sponsoring apprentices. Those days are gone. These companies need people. They are in dire need of people who have a solid work ethic. So if you're interested in working for a company and if you want to know whether or not they sponsor apprentices, just ask them and they'll tell you. And let them know if you're interested in them sponsoring your apprenticeship. You know, again, just ask them. It really is the best way. And or you can give us a call and we can talk you through it. But for the most part, just be forthcoming if you're interested in an apprenticeship opportunity with a sponsor.
All right, thank you so much, you guys. Let's see here. I don't see any more questions. I do want to give a special thanks to all of you guys, all the panelists. I know that I couldn't make this happen without you guys. It's always a pleasure to have you guys on. I also like to thank everyone that participated tonight and listening in tonight. Like Richard said a little bit earlier, I know it's a little bit later in the day for you guys. So we definitely appreciate it all. And here's our contact information that we're sharing here on the screen. So if you guys have any questions for any of us, feel free to reach out. And once again, I just want to thank you all for coming out. And I don't know if anyone else has any last remarks, but yeah, I want to thank you all for coming out. And I hope I hope you leave out tonight with a little bit of knowledge that you might not have had before joining us tonight. So I want to thank you all again and hope you all have a good night.
Thank you.